Over the course of this unit, you're going to be looking at devised performance, and in particular this is also called stimulus work, and this is for your prelim exam. This is part of your written prelim exam. So what we're going to be looking at is you're going to choose a stimulus as a group, you're going to develop a story, you're going to create characters using character techniques, you're going to work out your staging, you're going to consider theatre arts such as lighting, sound, props, costume, etc. You're going to rehearse your stimulus and you're going to perform. You're then going to write a self-evaluation essay and then you're going to write about your drama in the written exam. So the written prelim exam that's coming up, in section A you're going to be writing about this performance, and you're also going to write your self-evaluation essay based on this performance and based on the rehearsal process. First of all, there's a few things that we need to go through in order for you to be able to start with the stimulus to presentation. Okay, there are 10 steps from stimulus to presentation that you have to remember. Now it's important to remember these for various reasons. One, because it's a very effective way of creating a performance, and secondly, it might be a question in the exam. They might ask you what the 10 steps are, what is stimulus to presentation, etc. So you need to try and remember them. Okay, so the first one is responding to stimulus. We all know what responding to stimulus is. We all know what a stimulus is. Anything which suggests an idea or for a piece of drama. Okay, lyrics, text, images, music, newspaper articles, short stories, etc. It's easy. Responding to stimulus is the first thing that you do. Secondly, you begin to offer ideas to each other in your groups, because you're going to be in small groups working together, looking at a stimulus. So at this point you begin to offer ideas to each other. The third is discussing and selecting ideas for situations and roles. So that basically means what works best dramatically. You have a discussion, you come up with all these different ideas, but you have to select the ideas that you think are going to work best on stage, and the roles and the situations that are going to happen. 4. Agreeing form. You all know that form is the overall style of a drama. So for example, a play, a pantomime, tragedy, comedy, monologue, movement, docudrama, forum theatre, all these different things are styles, is the form. Okay, you have to agree that. What are you going for? Is it going to be a comedy? Is it going to be a pantomime? Do you want it just to be a movement or a docudrama? What is it going to be? 5th, agreeing structure. Structure, as we all know already, is linear or non-linear. Linear is chronological, and non-linear is things like flashbacks, flash forwards, etc, etc. Okay, so you have to consider what you're doing. Are you going to have things like flashbacks in it? If so, then how is your structure going to be? Is it going to be linear or non-linear? It's going to be non-linear. Okay. Number 6 is agreeing conventions. Conventions are what we add into a drama to make a drama more effective or more engaging with an audience. So for example, a flashback that we were just talking about, flash forward, freeze frame, frozen picture, mime, monologues at some points. Maybe there's a movement sequence halfway through your performance or at the start of your performance. Maybe there's a fight that breaks out in your drama, and we, instead of having a proper fight, we do it all in slow motion. Perhaps you have a narrator, perhaps there's voiceovers, an aside which is a remark to the audience, a soliloquy, blah blah blah, etc etc. Okay, so you have to agree your conventions. That's really important. And 7 is setting up the space. Think about your staging. You will be doing this. Think about your staging. Is it end on, proscenium arch, theatre in the round, thrust, avenue, promenade? You know what all these are. And using rostrums and rostras, levels, split stage, set, entrance, exits, piece of material. Think of how you're going to perform this. 8 is rehearsing. The most important part is really rehearsing. You're never finished until you hit your deadline. In fact, you're probably not finished by then, unfortunately. But you always have to rehearse. It's really important. Don't ever sit down and turn around and go, "Oh, I'm finished. Yeah, we've done. We've got it perfect," because it'll not be perfect. There's always something that you can do to make it better. 9 is reviewing, improving, and evaluating. You can always improve on your drama, so use the time you have. It's really important to sit down and have a chat about how you can evaluate it. We just talked about rehearsing right there. Rehearse, evaluate, rehearse, evaluate, rehearse, evaluate. Just keep doing that over and over again and you'll get there. And last but not least is adding theatre arts. Theatre arts, as we know, are things such as lighting, sound, costume, makeup, set, etc. All the things that we add to our drama to enhance our drama at the very end. Don't get caught up at the start on, oh yeah, let's have this lighting, yeah, let's have this kind of music, yeah, let's do this, yeah, let's do that. The most important part of this whole aspect is the performance. Can the performance survive without all these things, all the theatre arts? I'm hoping that they can, but I want the theatre arts to be an added extra, a bonus to your performance at the end. And that is it. That is the 10 steps to stimulus to presentation. Now, we're going to move on from stimulus to presentation, and I'm going to show you a short sort of example of how to begin to build on a stimulus. Let's look at this picture in the middle of, let's imagine there's a big sheet of paper and we've got a picture in the middle of this sheet of paper. Now what we would do is we'd start thinking about what the picture means, or what some of the words that are coming to your head when you look at that picture. For example, I put down hurt, right? It feels like somebody's been hurt. Okay, I've put down frustration. I've also put down anger, and I've put down relationships. Now there's loads more things that I could have put down there, but for the purposes of this demonstration I'm going to keep it short. And we're going to focus in on relationships. Okay, we're going to look at relationships. Let's try and see if I can build some sort of story from relationships. So it could be an affair, or perhaps a couple have moved in together and are struggling to cope with each other. And let's say I go with that one. Let's begin to try and see if I can build a story around that. How did they meet, for example? Let's question that. They met at a cafe and went on a date and fell in love. Okay, and where they go from there. They moved in together but realised that it's tough living with someone else and begin to argue a lot, so they're now arguing. So you need to consider who these characters are. So let's have some characters' names just now. So we've got John, for example, and Susan. Now at this point you could begin to just slowly build on character techniques by writing short character descriptions just next to that, which would be quite beneficial. But for now, this is my story. This is where I've got to so far. I would build a lot more on this. There would be, in fact, the whole sheet would be completely full of ideas. That's what I'm looking for. That's what a good starting point for an idea, a good stimulus should do, or a good conversation in your group. Okay, so once you've moved on from that bit, once you've actually got your story and maybe you've got your characters, I want you to write on the other side of the paper, as a group, write on the other side of the paper an outline of your drama. So an outline of the story, a synopsis, and I hope we all know what a synopsis is, which is a brief summary of a plot of a novel or a play. I'll give you an example of my synopsis. John and Susan met in a cafe, they get chatting to each other, they exchange phone numbers. Susan later calls John and asks if they would like to go out for dinner. John and Susan start dating and things are going really well. Eventually Susan asks John to move in with her, and he accepts. John and Susan have been living together for a month now and are beginning to struggle living together. Blah 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 blah. I haven't finished it, right? I haven't got an end yet, but you should be looking to find an end before you even get up and act. I want this synopsis done. So that's it. So the activities that you should be doing from now are in smaller groups. You will look at the following stimuli and map out your ideas on a large sheet of paper. So you'll get put into groups, and that's what you're going to do. And once you have created a story, you will write down a synopsis of your story, just a brief outline of what your story is.